How is everybody doing? Happy Monday to you all. Welcome aboard the drive home. For the next 2 hours, I'm going to be your host. My name is Matt, the Grass Factor Martin. Today is Monday, so we know what that means. It is the day of Pick the Docks Bahrain. We'll be getting into that somewhere around 4:15. We got some news segments we're going to be bringing up as well. We've got some news segments. We got a weather segment. All kinds of fun stuff there. Yeah, I've got this playlist going right here. We got a couple of news segments. We're going to have a news segment today that I'm actually really excited about. It kind of gives me some thinking things. In the background, I've been talking to a few other people that I'm going to be trying to get onto the show. One of the things I wanted to do, I wanted to have an entire segment about pricing lawn care. I think it's one of those things that I get asked about it all the time. How do you price this? How do you price that? I know other people too. I think about Paul Outlaw out there and how often he gets asked, how do I price this? How do I price that? So I thought it would be good to go ahead and have a show dedicated to that with someone who understands the business side of things more so than I do. Because that ain't me, dog. I figure while I'm doing this here, I need to add something that shows the music I'm playing, doesn't it? I'm gonna see if I can't figure out how to do that. I know there's got to be a way to do that. I don't know how. I have to do a little research. We have entered the no troll zone, according to Kenny Cooper. We'll see how that plays out. It's been a little hostile in the comments from time to time, so hopefully today everybody's got that out of their system and we're gonna have a nice, easy little going chat here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get going with the show. So one of the interesting things from the USDA annual Bluegrass Collective, I just got a Resist POA survey here. And it says, Turfgrass managers, the Resist POA project is conducting a survey to investigate attitudes and actions related to the management of weeds in U.S. turfgrass operations, including golf courses, sports and recreation turfgrass, sod production, and Tennessee seed production. Now, this does not involve me personally, and I still don't really have a dog in the fight, even in residential lawn care anyway. So outside of my wheelhouse or something I'd even need to be worried about. But I'll be real curious to see what the results of this are. Just as kind of a rule of thumb here, you're going to see things, are you working for one or more turfgrass operations? And then it'll get into are you combining modes of actions? Are you rotating modes of actions? What's your primary source? All this fun stuff. So, anyway, I digress. I'll be real interested to see how that comes about because there's still so much more that needs to progress with herbicide resistance and just management strategies in general, especially with POA, given how quickly POA can reproduce. It is in a very an aggressive reseeder, right? So we think about whenever we're dealing with the POA problem in general, the control measure is just that much worse because of how quickly it recedes and spreads. And it's another one of those things, too, is that there's this big delay that when it starts to germinate in September, you don't notice just how bad it is until you get to March of the next year. March of the next year is when it really starts going to seed incredibly aggressively. The rate of growth is just exponential, and you can't tame it. It seems like no matter what you do, you can't tame it. You can't cut it low enough. It explodes out of the ground. So it is it's a difficult one to manage for sure. So surveys like this are important because they do go out across the wider variety. I wish they would open this up to, one, residential lawn care, and two, even the prosumer market. Because I feel like that there's just as much taking place in the prosumer market as there are acreage-wise as there are sports turf. So, in terms of a one-to-one there, I feel like you're kind of not really doing yourself a favor by limiting that segment of the market, right? Because there's a lot of data there to gather. Now, you have to remember, you have to designate between the prosumer market and, of course, the not-so-prosumer market. What is this, Lushy, you're showing me? What is this? I don't know what this is. Lushy's over here sending me question marks, and I don't even know what it means. Lushy, our favorite Friday call-in applicator. Coven Carlson just made a comment, and this is a great point, Coven, that I see so freaking often. Many seem to mistake dormant or dead POA with fungus. Man, it's hilarious, Coven, because you move into March and everybody's like, I've got POA trivialis coming out of my ear holes. It's everywhere right now. I don't know what to do about it. It's all over the place. And then when May hits and it starts going dormant, everybody forgot they had POA trivialis, and the panic sets in that, oh my God, I've got disease everywhere. It's coming out of my ear holes. It's just awful. It's all over the place. And I try to warn people, and I feel like this is one of those things I need to put out a PSA. And everywhere across every social media platform should have the same PSA. And that PSA should be, mark your areas with POA trivialis. So when they begin to go dormant, you do not panic. You cannot treat dormant POA trivialis with azoxystrobin, with propiconazole, with mefenoxam, and get it to come back. It just doesn't work that way. It goes dormant. It's a perennial, but it goes dormant during the summer months instead of the winter months, like we see with, like a perennial like Bermuda grass, for instance. That is a great point, and I feel like I wear a lot of the burden of responsibility on that one because I don't do enough to talk about it. And a lot of times it even escapes my memory that it even is a real situation that we're facing off with. So, needless to say, one, thank you for bringing that up, Coven, and two, you remind me to do a better job myself of keeping that in my mindset moving forward. Now, we're in August right now, so a lot of times what was going dormant, POA trivialis, is no longer going dormant. Now, what we are close to, though, is here in about 4 weeks, we're going to start to see that POA trivialis begin to creep back from the earth. As we start continuing on this cooling trend, and what you may notice is that we may not even be on too aggressive of a cooling trend as far as our daytime temperatures. Our nighttime temperatures will start dipping a little lower, but our daylight hours are going to start shrinking as well. And as we begin to shrink our daylight hours, that is when we're going to run into some clear issues. Shrinking daylight hours ultimately is going to mean lower soil temperatures, thus our cooler germinating favorable for cooler germination weed varieties are going to begin to make their presence known. And you may be saying, but it's impossible. It's 90 degrees outside. How can Poa annua be germinating when it's still 90 degrees outside? It goes dormant in those high temperatures. Yes, it does go dormant in those warmer temperatures. But our soil temperatures are also increasing in that time period in late spring into summer. Now our soil temperatures are decreasing, and we're getting cooler and cooler at night. Now, we're still 4 weeks away, but still, it's on the horizon. So we have to start mentally preparing for what's coming up with less daylight hours. That means less sun exposure to our soil surface, and also cooler nighttime temperatures, which ultimately is going to mean the reemergence of these cool season weeds. So, real quick, I got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and get kicked up. In fact, before I do that, let me hook up my telephone to the soundboard. And so that way, when we come back from the break, we'll bring Ray of Pick the Doc's Brain on, and we'll start having us a fun little conversation about any and all and everything in between related to, the joy of lawn care. I know Lushy wanted me to talk about the residual of sulfentrazone in the soil, so we'll kind of kick things off there and see what we got going. If you want to participate and Pick the Doc's Brain real easy, send me a tweet at The Grass Factor on Twitter. You can reach out to me on email at thegrassfactor@gmail.com, or you can hop into the YouTube chat. If you hop over to YouTube and type in The Grass Factor, you will see I've got a live stream going there where you can feel free to provide your input or questions. All right, hang on. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll dive right in.
Playing the best music.
Hands down and dirty. Turfs Up Radio.
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 Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Turn existing irrigation systems into organic fertilizing, safe pest repelling machines with the Pro Products Green Feeder System. Irrigation contractors are leaving less money on the table and increasing profits with this easy to install, easy to maintain, unlimited recurring revenue opportunity. Call 800-285-9176. 800-285-9176 and mention Turfs Up Radio for an exclusive offer, or visit proproducts.com to learn more.
Hey guys, it's Frank Borg. More lawn care pros are working on their business rather than in them with the Lawn Buddy app. Lawn Buddy puts you in the driver's seat right along with your employees, helping you to guide them
Every Wednesday night.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Hump Night with the Duck. 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Only on Turfs Up Radio.
Hump day?
We have to put up with this?
The Rock! The hot place!
You're not the top.
Did I say something wrong?
The Duck. On Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in the process? Then it's time you checked out the Geo Ripper 616. It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned Geo Ripper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the Geo Ripper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today.
Twice! You're kidding me! Hang on, I'm bringing back in the music before we get back into this. I have not heard from Ray yet, so he may be dealing with something in the real world, so we'll hold on. And if you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them until the time frame. If you can join us, great. If you can't, no problem. One thing that is definite about this industry is you never know what you're going to get. And a lot of times you have to be reactionary and pivot more so than you're able to just stick to a plan and schedule things out. That is for sure. So we'll see. We'll see. Let me, in fact, let me do this. Oh, wait a second. Ray, are you here, sir?
I am here.
Hey!
I am here.
I didn't know if the real world got in the way or not, and so I wasn't going to put any pressure on you. I know how it can be sometimes.
No, I just had to go get another cup of coffee. How's that?
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Did you have a good weekend, sir?
Not really. Not really. I met Karen.
Oh, no. Did you really?
I met Karen, and now I am looking for an attorney.
Oh, did she ask to speak to your manager?
No. Karen, he terroristically threatened me even after I apologized about the noise I was making.
Oh, my goodness. What,
Yeah,
what were you doing? Were you sharpening reels or something?
No, actually, I was trying to spray the last lawn of the day. And, okay, here's what the guy does. First, he sticks a phone through my customer's fence to start taking pictures of me. I saw that. I walk over to him and I said, "Hi, how's everything going?" And then he said, "You know, it is a Saturday evening, and you're making all that noise right next to my patio." And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that." And his exact words to me were, "We are going to see how sorry you're going to be about that."
Oh boy. That's a great way to start a nice, friendly conversation.
Exactly. And after he said that, he proceeded to take even more pictures of me or whatever, continuing to stick his phone through my customers' fences and gates and whatever. And on top,
go ahead.
And on top of that, I told my customer about it, and he told me something very interesting.
The guy's a weirdo?
No, even more interesting. He has video footage of the camera being stuck through his fences and gates.
You know, some people you just don't mess with, and I tell you right now, the lawn care operator, don't mess with your local lawn care operator.
Yeah, because apparently, did you know that you may photograph, properties, people, whatever, for non-malicious purposes when you are doing so from a public space? It is no longer a public space when you stick a camera right through somebody's fence slats, for example. Did you know that, Matt?
No, I didn't, but it does make pretty good sense. And I tell you, Ray, this is why you do not pick on a lawn care operator. A lawn care operator is someone who is by themselves in their truck all day that has ample hours through the course of the day to plan retaliatory measures. So lawn care people can be some of the most spiteful people on the planet simply because they have the time to strategize the most efficient and effective way to get back at somebody.
Oh, and okay, you said weirdo. Apparently, this guy has been picking on my customer about stupid stuff for a long time. So basically, my customer told me, hey, Ray, I caught him on my camera sticking his phone through my fence. Oh my God. Because can you imagine being served a summons for invasion of privacy and there is a case against you?
Yeah, I'd say that's not exactly what that person intended to have happen by choosing to do that. But again, unfortunately, you go after the lawn care guy, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, because and you know, and the thing is that I don't know how much more trouble he would be in if he did that kind of stuff to the wrong person.
In my opinion, Ray, he did it to the wrong person.
Actually, no, because I don't really consider myself the wrong person because he still got all his teeth. The camera is not been used as a suppository, and he's basically still walking around because here in Hawaii, you say or do the wrong thing to somebody, you quickly find yourself in the hospital. That is the reality here.
A little rough around the edges.
Yeah, super rough around the edges. I mean, it's super rough because, so in other words, you act the idiot and the locals will literally grab you and beat the tar out of you. And I'm not exaggerating or making it up because it does happen all the time.
I bet.
No, especially to a Karen who is from the continental U.S. Okay, it actually happens. I mean, people come here and they, since they're in San Francisco or San Diego or New York City or something like that, and they act like Karen, and the locals just, what? You talking to me? And then it's over.
Right?
It's over. It's over. And here's the worst part. For the most part, the police do not take assault and battery that seriously. Here in Hawaii, they don't.
That's a good thing.
No, or a bad thing. Or it can be a bad thing. In other words, your life is in danger here.
Yeah, it easily could be, right?
Yeah, your life is in danger. So anyway, yeah, I had an interesting weekend, but the good part about it is that I am now seeing like some supreme results from using a combination PGR program.
Using a PGR program?
Yeah, of a combination PGR program, because I literally have some lawns on a three-way PGR program.
What PGR program is this? If I had to guess, I'm guessing a combination of T-Nex and a new, and is there something else in there? Cutlass.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And you're liking this combination?
A lot. I mean, this is the ticket for grasses that are what I consider resistant to regulation. They tend to not respond very, strongly to, say, T-Nex alone, and they come out of regulation very quickly from T-Nex.
That's interesting. Well, you think about T-Nex from a growing degree day perspective anyway, where you are in Hawaii. I mean, you've got to be burning through some growing degree days. So your reapplication interval at best isn't going to be too far apart between apps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what kind of suppression are you seeing out of this? And if are you still weekly mowing with that regulator recipe?
I don't have to anymore.
I was going to say.
I don't have to anymore. And that's the whole idea. I don't have to anymore. I want to turn a weekly mow into, I know what our friend Connor Ward calls a charity mow. And not because that turf area is literally overgrown, because the reality is that in the absence of a PGR, I am going to need to mow every other day.
Yeah, right. And that's just not feasible.
That's not feasible. And then even weekly is sometimes pushing it.
Mm-hmm,
so here's what I do, and this is going to sound like heresy. I regulate to the point where mowing is only necessary on a 14 to 21 day schedule.
Ray, I could just tell you from my experiment with the common Bermuda, and kind of a 2-year experiment now that I've been playing with it, was
Right.
I over suppressed the common Bermuda to the point where realistically once a week mowing was not necessary. Once every other week was maybe necessary, and once every 21 days would have been probably sufficient. What I noticed was still managing in every other day, every 3-day mowing schedule. I was inducing traffic damage faster than probably would have been seen if it were not under regulation, in my opinion. Because
Right.
all the surrounds just were the first to yellow. I mean, it was just perfect. And my 4 surround passes I have to make, it immediately was checking out more so than the rest of the lawn. I said, well, maybe that's where I'm doing my my trim pass was getting a little heavy with my PGR application. So as it did recover, I went ahead and just skipped the trim pass with my PGR application, and I was still experiencing that, and it had to do more with the frequency of the cut I was performing. So as I let it go out of regulation, it just, everything kind of returned back to normal, and it all looks great again. And but I can constitute that realistically, with that kind of program, one, I have to mentally prepare to sacrifice color, and I think that's just due to paclobutrazol on common Bermuda grass to begin with. Those two just do not go hand in hand. Then the second piece of it is, I just didn't need to mow it. I should not have been cutting it except for on a 14 or 21 day schedule, because there was literally no upward growth on a week time frame between cuts. I could not fill an entire bucket across 20,000 square feet of grass clippings. You couldn't do it.
Oh my God, because I'm always, like, what my customers typically see me doing is they see me out in their lawn when I do come sticking my calipers into the grass. And they know what that's about. They know that I'm actually literally measuring how much the grass has grown versus how much I plan to take off when I set up my mower, or if I even put my mower on the grass that day. People have to get a little used to that, but once they understand what's going on, they like it, because what they get is some comparatively well-behaved, well-managed turf that, it's just like nothing else. I mean, the convention is mowing, and even more mowing, where the other way to do this is, hey, let's cut a tame down the growth of the turf right now so that mowing is a leisurely, and it even becomes almost optional. That's the probably my message to you too, is that when something's on regulation, what I find is you do not mow it again until it has grown at least now double your intended height of cut. So, for example, I'm trying to keep everything at about a half an inch, right?
Sure.
I don't touch the grass again until it has gone at least up to an inch. And the reason why is, you just said it, traffic damage. Because I am rolling a 250-pound machine across somebody's lawn when I do mow.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see it firsthand, and it's one of those weird things. Ray, I'm coming up on a break. I got to take a break real quick, but it's kind of one of those things because you think about a lot of times why people get allured or sucked into the glamour of a PGR. It's because you get this harder plant and it's going to be able to resist things so much better. It can it's got more density to it. Therefore, it's going to be able to resist disease and impact and wear and tear better. But kind of in the same piece, not really was at least my experience with it. Multi years now, I'm not seeing increased wear and tear tolerance. More so, I would say decreased wear and tear tolerance. And I think a lot of that is just because you're not getting the vegetative growth for recovery.
You're not.
All right, Ray, I got to take a break real quick. When I come back, we got some questions about some fig trees here we wanted to get into. So,
all right,
we'll do that right after the break. Everybody, you're listening to Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station. Hang on, more after the break.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, lawn and landscape pros.
I'm talking to you.
Don't let your edge go dull.
Your competitive edge.
Sharpen your edge at the GIE Plus Expo this October 21st through the 23rd in Louisville, Kentucky.
Understand the word coming out of my mouth?
Innovative products, latest technology.
Wall to wall.
Talk face-to-face with engineers that design your favorite equipment. Then step outside and dive into the hands-on demo area where you can drive, dig, and compare equipment to your heart's delight.
Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong.
This year, the wow gets even bigger with the new UTV test track.
The hands-on drone zone.
And free parking. Register now at GIE-Expo.com. And we'll see you in Louisville, Kentucky this October.
Hey, Turf's Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for Turf's Up Radio. Now you can catch us streaming live 24/7 with pro talk, pro tips, and pro interviews. Simply visit turfsupradio.com.
Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. The Drive Home with Matt the Grass Factor Martin. Tune in Monday through Friday to take your turf management program to the next level. Only on Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey, this is Darren, CEO and lead designer of Totalscape Design. As many of you know, I built my career designing and building thousands of high-end landscapes for property owners. But when it came time to locating plant materials and getting them delivered on time, it was always a hassle. Locating up-to-spec material and organizing logistics took too much of my time. But not anymore, because I found Go Materials. Go Materials takes the hassle out of my plant sourcing. They do all the searching for me. They compare prices, check availability, and ensure quality. They even get everything I need to my project where and when I need them. All I do is send them my list of materials, and they take care of the rest. So do what I do and take the
All right, we're back. We're back. We got Ray, the Green Doc of Hawaii, here for Pick the Doc's Brain. All right, Ray, so we had a question coming here from Altman Lawn Service, and it was, would figs be okay to eat if they were sprayed with bifenthrin and daconil? I had a potential customer ask me, and I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Actually, that would be more than okay to eat afterward. No problems. Because kids, let me tell you about the truth about fruits and vegetables that you eat or you buy from the market. They get soaked in the following pesticides. Chlorothalonil, that which is daconil, all manner of pyrethroids, including bifenthrin. Let's see. And many fruits and vegetables also get the very organophosphate insecticides that were banned from lawn and ornamental application.
So, yeah, I didn't think anything about it there because those aren't overly systemic products, you know? So, as far as
they're not.
Residual that's going to last into the plant, not really a whole lot to worry there. In fact, there are specific formulations for bifenthrin and daconil for fruit trees specifically, and you can take a look at those labels, and they're going to line up pretty much in line with anything that would be used in turf grass as well. So I would not worry too much about that at all either myself.
No, I mean, not a big deal, because I would probably say with figs, don't we kind of like wash them and peel them before we consume them? So all of the residue would be all on the skin of the fruit, yeah? So it wouldn't be an issue. And like you said, bifenthrin and daconil are actually non-systemic products. And let me tell everybody one more thing. Fruits and vegetables are also commonly treated with all of the neonicotinoid insecticides. Like
merit. Yeah.
Merit, equivalent of Arena, the equivalent of TriStar. Let's see.
Do they use dinotefron in fruit production at all?
Oh, goodness, yes. I mean, goodness, yes. In fact, dinotefron was the substitute for a lot of the organophosphates that the EPA deemed too hazardous to the applicator, and therefore they removed those from the market.
Yeah, and you think about something, especially for borers, and how effective a timely application of dinotefron could be. That, it only makes sense that they would definitely be on the toolbox list there of things to reach to often.
Yeah, exactly. Because before dinotefron, the standard treatment for borers on fruit trees was either chlorpyrifos or else this other organophosphate, I know it's a brand name called glutathione. And like with glutathione, that stuff will kill you, literally.
Ray, there's nothing more fun than just straight up deadly insecticides to be pulling out for food production.
Right.
Ray, kind of next question here. Timmy Bluegrass was asking a question. I made the comment last night that we had done testing with humic acid and Timmy, let me kind of clarify there. When I said it did good, that was when I was running just a humic acid product as a liquid. But when we were talking about running it in combination with fertilizer, initially we saw the bang for the buck on the front end, but after a while of usage, that was when you begin to have maybe diminishing point of returns. It just wasn't as effective as it was when it first started out. You can come onto a property, spray it once or twice, you were good to go. After that, you weren't necessarily getting the best bang for your buck, in my experience. It may not be everybody's experience. Now, the second part of this was, what does your testing indicate about the usefulness of sea kelp? Is it worth putting down? If so, should humic accompany it? And Ray, I'll let you speak about this, but in my experience, in my opinion, Timmy, that would be the only way I would apply humic, is if it were in combination with sea kelp. The two of those combined have a synergistic effect. Isolated from one another, while they do have a positive effect, it's nowhere. Again, the sum of the parts is the sum is greater than the sum of the parts, so to speak. So. Ray, kind of in that vein, what are your thoughts on those? Are they worth applying? What instances are you looking for making applications of either humic or kelp, or combine as together?
Okay, the only time I actually apply a humic and kelp combination is when I am dealing with recently laid sod that has problems tacking down and rooting. And the reason why I will do that is because the cytokinin properties of kelp encourage rooting. And so when I'm dealing with sod that is not taking root and is kind of stuck, that is when I will make an application of, kelp and humic and some NPK and get that sod grabbing the ground and going. Other than that, the grassroots have already developed. I don't see the benefits of encouraging even more roots. And in fact, does everybody understand what thatch is?
I think there's a misconception here, and the majority of the time when I hear people talking about thatch, what they're actually talking about is dead plant material that's accumulated at the root surface after scalping the grass or as it comes out of dormancy. The majority of the time, that's what I hear identified as thatch, versus that uppermost layer in the soil, super high in organic matter.
Yes, and a lot of that super high organic matter, especially in the context of the low-cut warm season grasses that I work with most frequently, that is examples of roots and stolons and rhizomes that have grown, died, and then have not decomposed. In other words, to get to the point, my concern is that if I misuse kelp, I can be encouraging the very condition that I am trying to manage or control, and that is excessive roots, rhizomes, and stolons.
Yeah, that's why we see things, especially in Bermuda grass, like what do you call it? Verticutting.
Right, verticutting, and that is entirely related to inducing growth and development of roots, rhizomes, and stolons above and beyond what naturally is able to cycle into the root system. That is why, for example, on extremely low-cut turf, you know my position on excessive fertilizers and supplements on low-cut Bermuda, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And my reason for being that way is because overfeeding and oversupplementing just means that you are going to have to literally scalp off and verticut all the time. It's going to become a 2, 3, or 4 time a year routine for you, where me being cognizant and conscious of what thatch actually is, I normally do not have to verticut. I normally don't need to do it. Only time I do have to do it is if I come into a new property and it was either improperly fertilized or else it was not being mowed correctly.
Let me ask you this.
Other than that,
what about underfeeding turf and then trying to cytokine your way out of nutrient deficiency?
That is the other fallacy, because that stimulation of development and growth does not necessarily happen in the absence of NPK and micronutrients. So therefore, that is why my formula for making grass grow when it is really struggling has always been kelp, humic, 111 soluble, and micronutrients. And if the grass doesn't start growing after it gets treated with that, I don't know.
Yeah. If not, that's you're starting to run into issues. Ray, I got to take a break real quick. When we come back, we got some more questions in that we will continue on with. Real quick, we're gonna get some bills paid. Oh, and maybe we're going to I don't know. What is this? Maybe we get a little weather update in there as well. See what's going on globally, because, or at least across the continental U.S., because, there's more out there than just what I experience right here in the South. A lot of times I end up forgetting. So hang on. More after this. You're listening to Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey, this is Darren, your host of the Weekend Review here on Turf's Up Radio. Be sure not to miss a new episode every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I'll be with a new guest contributor every week reviewing what you may have missed on Turf's Up Radio, and together we'll help you plan your week by getting you the most out of our Traffic on the Turf and Product of the Day segments. That's the Weekend Review every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And remember, Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Playing the best music.
Hands down and dirty. Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station. Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. The Drive Home with Matt the Grass Factor Martin. Tune in Monday through Friday to take your turf management program to the next level. Only on Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
All right. We're back. All right, Ray, some comments here that we had going. One thing was, we'll kind of take this in order that they came in. There was a plan for using a liquid 18-16-5 at seeding. Would adding depth 10 to that application be a good idea? It's not going to be a bad idea. And Bush League Lawns, if you have looked at the article we put out, one of the things we were testing was just straight fertilizer against the performance of fertilizer in combination with them. So like DKP was dipotassium phosphate, which would have been a 0.2431 just to kind of give you an idea of what the straight role of phosphorus and potassium was. And then also one where we were using humic and kelp and 1152-0, which it worked out to something like a 1626-4, something like that. Or 1626-0, somewhere around there, but it was mainly. But you could see kind of the interaction that took place between the kelp and the phosphorus. The whole idea was to show that with the addition of the peptides in combination with NP and K, that was where to get your biggest bang for your buck in terms of capitalizing on the ability of those peptides. Second piece of this is Solero and Sure Power combination applied to tall fescue. The Dallas grass and Johnson grass got stung in a good way. Is that from the Sure Power? Yes, it is. Sure Power contains flumioxazin, which is what's going to be the heavy lifter there. Solero in and of itself is not going to be effective on either Dallas grass or Johnson grass. So that is your big kicker there. All right, Ray, kind of flew through that. So the next question here was, can we talk about the difference between a biostimulant, one is a peptide and the other being a cytokinin, when it comes to overseeding?
Right. Well, in order, first of all, the using peptides and NP and K, that is your absolute best bet when you want to encourage establishment of either seed, sod, or vegetatively propagated turf. That is just absolutely the best. And in absence of NPK, all of these biostimulants and supplements have a very limited effect. Again, this goes back to that analogy that I like to use where guys can get real big sticking the needle in their leg every week, but they also have to be eating on top of that. Without the food, the drugs don't work. That's the simplest way I can put it.
Yeah. You can't have one without the other. You're exactly right. And I think that is the most commonly mistook thing about it is you feel like because you use this, you're set up to not fail. Well, the real piece of it, the real piece of the puzzle when it comes to managing turf is real simple. The number one piece of the puzzle is NP and K in minors. That's it. Outside of that, your percentage of gain is relatively small in comparison to your NP and K.
Right. And it's unfortunate that the basics, such as available NP and K, are not as sexy as, products that you can spray out at a couple ounces per 1,000 square foot. That's the reality.
Yeah, exactly. Because, boy, you can get I see it all the time, especially in liquid programs where it's, big argument is like, well, it says on the label right here, all I have to apply is 3 ounces per 1,000. It's like, yeah, it says that, but that's just given as a general rule of thumb. What you have to target are your NP and K levels. So you can apply it at 3 ounces per 1,000, and yeah, that's an adherence to the label. But when you're applying a 30-0-0, at the end of the day, you have to get down the nitrogen rate you're looking to get down. Or if you're applying, potassium phosphate, you have to get down the target rate of phosphorus and potassium that you're trying to get down. You can't. Just because it says to apply at 3 ounces per 1,000, it doesn't take away from the fact that agronomy is still at play here.
Absolutely. And I hope that answers a lot of the questions about combining this biostimulant with that biostimulant. Fact of the matter is NP and K plus micronutrients plus a soil where the pH is in a reasonable range, and then your extra kick is from a biostimulant or a supplement. And that, to me, is your best bang for buck program. that's your best bang for buck right there.
Yeah, and so the question is the difference between like peptides and then cytokinins and gibberellins. Well, okay, so gibberellins and cytokinins are hormonal. Peptides are non-hormonal. They may be considered as hormone-like because they elicit some similar effects that are related to hormonal, but there's no alteration of the ratio of trichoblast to atrichoblast that take place that you see when you apply a hormonally based product. So the idea there is that there's actually an alteration that takes place at the genetic level that elicits the response from a peptide material versus a hormonal product. So whether you're talking about a cytokinin product or a gibberellin product, again, you're manipulating the hormone levels within the plant. Your three main ones are going to be auxin, gibberellins, and cytokinins. And when you're applying like a sea kelp product, that's what you're doing. You're manipulating the ratio of those three products within the plant to elicit a very specific response. So and then versus the peptide, you're not manipulating those. The hormone levels may turn out manipulated, but it's not because there's a presence of hormones that you're applying. That's due to more genetic signaling that takes place. So it's not too terribly difficult and the end too terribly different as far as the end result is concerned, but the method to get there are two entirely different things. So with kelp, you're kind of limited to only affecting the hormonal response of the plant. However, with different peptides, you can elicit different responses of the plant. So for instance, the root promoting peptide is one specific amino acid sequence. If you alter that amino acid sequence, you may elicit a different response because it is a different sequence, because it's going to affect a different genetic pathway within the plant. So it's kind of a different way to achieve things. It's two paths towards a similar end result, but two different directions you go to get there, so to speak. So, Ray, this is kind of a controversial topic here, and we'll go ahead and dive on it, and we could really spend the better part of a week discussing this. And the question is, with that said about overfeeding, what is the proper amount of feedings per year for Bermuda turf?
Okay, if you are mowing real low, that is one rate. If you are mowing real low and you are collecting clippings, that's yet another rate. And then if you are rotary mowing, that is yet another rate still. It is different depending on how you are managing and maintaining that turf. I can't give a one-size-fits-all answer to that.
Exactly. There is no one-size-fits-all answer to that, because there are 100 different variables to take into account there. If you're 110 Fahrenheit every day, obviously you're going to burn through your nitrogen, and as a result, your phosphorus and potassium levels way much faster than you would if your peak temperature is only 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Two totally different management practices there. And then exactly like you said too, when you start taking into account your height of cut that you maintain, something that's maintained at 4 inches versus something that's maintained at a quarter inch are going to be two totally different turf grasses altogether. It may be the exact same turf grass, exact same cultivar, but I promise you, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to I don't know where I'm going with that. Do you see what you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. What he's trying to say is that the nutrient requirements won't be the same. And in my case, what I'm finding is that with low-cut turf, I do not need high nutrient rates to get a response. I do not need it. I don't want it, in fact. I want, just enough to maintain color, vigor, etc. But then anything above that, because, for example, the routine recommendation for Bermuda, general recommendation is up to a pound of nitrogen per month. However, in real life, that recommendation is more applicable and appropriate to high-cut rotary mode Bermuda, where if you're talking to me about lower cut Bermuda, like say less than an inch tall, all the way up to say about quarter or lower, and that's ultra low, that's green height, by the way. When you get to low manicured height, then that's yet another level of nutrition, and I often tell people 0.25 to 0.3 pounds of nitrogen per month. And then when we're talking about even lower, like green height, then 0.25 is actually a very high feeding rate. You're looking at 1/10 of a pound per month. I hope that helped answer the question.
Yeah. And as you can see there, I mean, you get two. You're going after the same outcome, but two different approaches to get there. Again, it's kind of like alternating, biostimulants, to end up in the same result, right? So, the ultimate goal is to drive roots. Okay, you can do it by either manipulating the hormones of the plant, or you can send a signal to genetically divert energy towards the root system of the plant. Either or, it ends up in the same way. Same thing. When you're managing your NPK applications for Bermuda grass, you take into account all these considerations. You got low cut turf, you're going to have a certain requirement here. You got high cut turf, you got a certain requirement there. But it all kind of ends up in the same place to have the greenest grass possible, right? Unless you cross the blue line. Then when you cross the blue line, you're not exactly managing turf anymore.
No. You're not. Not at all. I mean, what you're doing, and I've seen this happen to various people, is you overdo it and you try to use various products to exceed what I'm going to call the genetic natural color of the turf. You're basically going to be producing and harvesting hay at that point. You're going to be harvesting hay.
Yeah. And again, it could be one of those things too, though, where say it's your maximum daytime temperature is 78 degrees, and you put out 1.25 pounds of N. You're not going to be harvesting hay because it's going to take that much to get it to grow a damn 1/4 inch because it's too cold outside.
Yeah, and in fact, should you even attempt to apply nitrogen or other nutrients at a time when the grass is not set up to utilize it,
exactly.
That is actually when you can be doing other things such as feeding diseases.
Exactly.
You can feed diseases like if I am dealing with turf that's in a no-grow condition due to the weather, I do not react to that situation by increasing my nutrient rates. In fact, I kind of step back and, tell people I must not touch this grass until the weather changes and this grass is growing again.
Ray, one of the things we talk about often, and I'm a big fan of this, and Ryan from Ohio State turned me onto it, and that's the growth probability model from Pace Turf. It's a great way to take your historical weather data and use that to strategize on what your nutrient demand will be per month of the growing season. Now, again, that's based off historical weather data, historical weather patterns. So it's not always accurate because, for instance, this year, here in Knoxville, I had really, really wacky weather. I was way above average in February and then way below average in May. I mean, it kind of throws you off, and you have to pivot in those scenarios. So you have to be just as much reactionary as you can be prepared on the front end. But go ahead, do your research, and use that to strategize. If you're confused on strategizing a program, that is the way I would strategize a program, is using something like that to build out some sort of foundation. And it's easy to visualize in that model because it's on a spreadsheet with a chart that shows you up and down what your growth percentage is, and therefore your nutrient requirements over that growth percentage and your phosphorus and potassium requirements based on your nitrogen application. So it's real easy to strategize all three of your nutrients at one time if you need a visual representation of what's taking place. Now, as you get more experience, a lot of times you have an internal memory of what takes place weather-wise, and so you can tend to do that kind of off the cuff.
Yeah,
So,
and that is literally what I do. That is literally what I've developed the ability to do.
Yeah.
Is I've been able to, for example, look at and take into mind my average daytime and nighttime temperatures and sunlight levels over the previous 2 weeks, and then correlate it to what I am seeing in the turf grass today. Okay, and that is where I sometimes have to correct people. No, I'm often correcting people when they tell me, "Oh, but yesterday it was sunny. Oh, but today it is sunny." And then I turn around and I give them the look. And I tell them, however, it was cold, cloudy, raining, and even windy for the past 2 weeks. The grass doesn't care about yesterday and today. It is more affected by what has been consistently happening over the previous 14 days to a month. That is what's important. And I always say this, grass is not momentary.
Oh, great. Yes. Grass is not momentary.
Yeah, grass is not momentary.
Ray, hang on. Centipede sometimes can be momentary.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Centipede can be very momentary, and centipede can even be even more momentary if, say, you're doing something to it, like making it grow in a climate where the winter temperatures are lower than what it can tolerate. Then centipede gets extremely momentary on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Centipede can also get very momentary on you if you are trying to grow it in soils that are too alkaline for it. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen.
I'm ready to set fire to every bit of it. If the world was eradicated of all the centipede, I would be a happier man for it. I'm telling you.
I know. And I think part of your bad experience is what happens when you are trying to cultivate centipede outside of its climactic range. And do you know where centipede grass actually comes from, Matt?
China, didn't it?
Aha, let me qualify that. There are climactic regions in China, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, you kind of cover the gamut.
Right, but centipede comes from the more tropical part of China. Zoysia, on the other hand, comes from the more temperate part of China, hence its better tolerance of extreme winters. Does that solve a mystery for you?
Yep, it does. You know, nature has a way of telling you what's supposed to and what's not supposed to be there. And, you know, we need to pick up on those things and not try and reinvent that unless something's taken place at the genetic level to manipulate a plant, like genetically modifying or genetically selective breeding for specific genetics out of your turf types. Then you can't expect, like, for instance, trying to grow tall fescue in Florida. You know, could you do it? Probably. Should you do it? Definitely not. If you want to give yourself a pat on the back and it may make you sleep better at night knowing that you were able to achieve for a season tall fescue in Florida, go for it. I high five you. I commend you. Great. It's doable with an aggressive fungicide program and plenty of unnecessarily placed water. You can make it happen, and if it makes you feel good, good. But the reality of the situation is this. There's a reason why you do not find it just randomly. You do not see it as a weed even in lawns in Florida. And it's because it's not conducive to grow there. It's a more tropical climate. You're not going to see it there.
Right, absolutely. And that's why I don't see even bent grass or tall fescue growing naturally here in Hawaii, although that a mix of bent grass, tall fescue, fine fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, and ryegrass is actually sold as a shady lawn mix here in Hawaii.
Oh, doesn't it just chap your ass?
Yeah, because here's what happens. That shady lawn mix, what typically happens is that the ryegrass part of it germinates, grows for a couple of months, and then the moment it gets warm and humid at night, you're gone. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done as far as, that shady lawn mix. And the other factor to that is it never fails that those shady lawn mixes also contain the common or really unimproved varieties of fescues and Kentucky bluegrass, because on a side note, I'm probably going to be doing a little Kentucky bluegrass experiment myself.
Just because you can, Ray. Just because you can.
But I'm not going to, set myself up for failure other than the fact that I'm trying to make Kentucky bluegrass grow where it has no earthly business being, in that I'm going to select more heat and disease-resistant varieties.
Yeah, again, you're resorting to make it happen. You're giving yourself the best opportunity by going after something that's been bred to elicit very specific tolerances to specific conditions. Otherwise, if you went and harvested something out of the high desert in Nevada and brought it over to Hawaii and attempted to establish it there, you'd be shooting yourself in the face, because that grass has been adapted to grow in high altitude, extremely low humidity. And then you put it in one of the most humid places on Earth, and boy, you're going to see a pretty significant freak out there.
Actually, you said Kauai, and the northern half of Kauai is known as one of the world's wettest places.
Sounds conducive for desert tolerant grasses.
Yeah, exactly. Because can you imagine a place where it might rain at night, it might rain in the morning, and it does that almost every day, and sun may come out, sun may not come out, and otherwise it's kind of overcast. Temperature doesn't go above about 80 degrees. In fact, 85 degrees is a heat wave down there. And it's also like just humid. Might not be like insufferably hot. No, in fact, correction. Because I grew up in that part of Hawaii, I know that if it gets above 80 degrees because of the humidity, you are dying. You are literally dying, because it's combined that little bit of heat with the humidity, you are dying. And I can imagine that a grass that is designed to perform best in a cooler and less humid environment, that's a death sentence for it.
Ray, I
That's a death sentence for it.
got to take a break real quick. When we come back, we had some questions about the drastic differences in application rates for T-necks on common versus hybrid Bermuda. So when we come back, we'll kind of dive into the specifics there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you're listening to Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station. Don't go nowhere. When we come back, the intricacies of hybrid versus common Bermuda. One of the fun ones. More after this.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, lawn and landscape pros.
I'm talking to you.
Don't let your edge go dull.
Your competitive edge.
Sharpen your edge at the GIE Plus Expo this October 21st through the 23rd in Louisville, Kentucky.
Understand the words.
That's weird. This was canceled.
Innovative products, latest technology. Talk face-to-face with engineers that design your favorite equipment. Then step outside and dive into the hands-on demo area where you can drive, dig, and compare equipment to your heart's delight.
Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong.
This year, the wow gets even bigger with the new UTV test track,
The hands-on drone zone.
and free parking. Register now at GIE-Expo.com, and we'll see you in Louisville, Kentucky this October.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, no one rocks like Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Project Evergreen supports military families with free lawn, landscape, and snow removal services. To give or get help through green care or snow care for troops, visit projectevergreen.org. Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services?
The board is
We call it
struggling
green
today.
care and snow care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, one yard at a time.
GIE's canceled, for those of you that didn't know. It was kind of a sad decision that had to take place there, but I get it. When attendees are dropping, when exhibitors are dropping, it doesn't really make sense to hold such a large. All right, Ray, give me just a second here. We're going to jump back into this. I had a question here. I live about 30 minutes away from where Carbon Earth is made and interested in purchasing. So we do not allow people to come by with the plant, especially with COVID going on right now. We've had way too many issues with coronavirus at the plant, and so therefore we do not allow people to come by the plant to pick up material. But Tin Barge in the area is who is our distributor. So if you'd like to reach out to Tin Barge, they will more than willing take care of you. All right, Ray. So the question is, why such drastic differences in application rates for trim pack between hybrid and common Bermuda grass?
Okay, that is because common Bermuda is less responsive to Trinixapac. It's less responsive. For example, I deal with Bermuda that is mowed all the way down to 1/10 of an inch. And the rate of Trinixapac that I use on that turf is literally no more than 8 ounces per acre of the formulated T-Nex. No more than 8 ounces, and even that is considered a little bit high because you normally are applying no more than 4 to 6 ounces. but, I go up a little because I can. Where for Bermuda, common Bermuda, seeded common Bermuda, that is less responsive to Trinexapac. However, common Bermuda is extremely responsive to other PGRs.
Yeah, and you have to remember, and Michael, one way to think about it is think about your if you noticed certain products, even like quinclorac, the amount of damage that takes place on hybrid Bermuda grass versus common Bermuda grass, it doesn't even look like you're spraying the same grass type. There's a certain level of sensitivity that goes along with hybrid Bermuda grass, and it's different. And so you kind of have to test, because there's going to be even variances between TIF Grand, TIF 419, TIF Tough, TIF Sport, and mid-iron and common Bermuda grass. All of those are going to have different responses to the exact same rate of T-Nex across the board. So, and Ray, he specifically asked about T10 Bermuda, because it's not explicitly on the label, and he's struggling to find out, is that a hybrid or is that a common Bermuda? I don't know the answer to that, but I know it is a reduced growth Bermuda grass, meaning it's not, it has been manipulated in some way or bred in some way. So in my opinion, I would definitely start low and work your way up. So like Ray said, 8 ounces per acre as kind of a kickoff would be a good place, maybe even 6 ounces per acre, and check on it in 2 weeks and see what kind of suppression you're getting out of it. Then make another application at 6 ounces and check and see what kind of suppression you're getting on it. If you're not happy with the suppression you're getting, then you can up it by another 2 ounces per acre and move it up to 8 ounces and see if you're happy with that level of suppression. I can tell you from experience, and this is dealing with common Bermuda grass here, my sweet spot is going to be between 12 and 14 ounces per acre at half-inch maintained common Bermuda. When I go above that, 100% of the time, I'm bronzing the grass.
Absolutely. And there's one more little factor to add into this: height of cut. Okay, height of cut. Like common Bermuda is typically maintained at very high heights of cut. I'm talking above 1.5 inches, maybe even above 2 inches. And here's the thing about growth regulating taller cut grasses. Number one, it will take more PGR to effect growth regulation. However, this is very important. The GDD models do not apply to high cut Bermuda or high cut turf grass, period, because the higher cut turf grass tends to have a very prolonged effect of a PGR. And the way that was found out is, I believe, those good guys at University of Nebraska dove into why the bent / Kentucky bluegrass collars around the greens were getting so damaged from PGR, and that is because those collars and surrounds are kept at 1/2 inch, whereas the bent green is kept at 1/10. And so at that higher height of cut, you spray T-Nex and paclobutrazole or T-Nex and Cutlass on the green, and that resulted in extreme overregulation of the higher cut turf around the green. So your height of cut changes things in terms of response to the actual application, but that higher rate that you apply to effect that regulation also stays in effect for a lot longer, because your typical GDD model is developed for turf that's at green height.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I think that really sums it up. You got nothing to add to it there.
Yeah. Because common Bermuda, if you were to reapply your PGR very often at that high rate, I would estimate that you'd smoke your grass.
Yeah, over a period of time. It's just, there's no doubt about it.
You'd smoke your grass because what I see out of higher cut turf is if I were going to apply the rate of PGR needed to suppress and control that higher cut turf, I would be looking at reapplication intervals on the order of 3 to 4 weeks, which under my conditions would be a GDD of approximately 450 to 500 days, which is double the GDD for Trinexapac, for example, on green height grass.
Ray, kind of a hang on. We're going to kind of pivot here. Dexter Morgan said, "What are the best way to keep animals, cats, off a cool season lawn?" I've got nothing for you there. He said, besides the fence. I have nothing. Do you know any secret tricks to cats?
I have something, but you might not like it. Really, you might not.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that because I have a feeling it might be a little bit violent.
It's actually not. It's actually not violent, but you won't like dealing with it because it's a combination of, red chili peppers, mustard, and black pepper.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that working.
However, dealing with that is way more noxious than any herbicide I can think of.
Yeah, you might want to wear a respirator for that one.
So you're going to need a whole full-on hazmat suit. I'm not kidding because I use that to keep feral cats out of my roses. And I have to be really careful about which way the wind is blowing. Because if it blows back towards me, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad. And come to think of it, I so wish I had a bottle of that on me when I saw Karen this past weekend.
Yeah, you would have put an end to that really quickly.
Yeah.
Dexter also. Go ahead.
Yeah, because the thing is that everybody knows what pepper spray is. I basically have figured out something that's like pepper spray times 10. Oh, my goodness.
The second piece of this was the thin grass that lays on its side in New York heat and is spongy. Is it POA? No, that's probably bent grass if I had to guess. Yeah, normally when I hear spongy grass, I'm thinking bent grass, especially if it's laying on its side.
And it's a lot of people talk about bent grass almost as if it's Bermuda grass. You know what I mean, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However, I know bent grass in a different light in that in another time and to a large degree in places like, say, the UK, bent grass mowed low is the turf. Bent grass mowed low is the turf. The reason why it falls over, gets diseased, looks patchy, looks nasty, is because it is mowed too high. If, on the other hand, you take the right kind of mower to it and you mow it at a half an inch or lower, then you get that pool table look or that golf green look. Then it's in a different light. Then, but by the way, I have the same opinion of Bermuda grass and zoysia grass and even centipede grass when it's mowed high. To me, it looks nasty. It looks nasty. But you mow it down to a half an inch, and I love it.
Kind of the next piece here is, let's see, any difference between a potassium phosphate product and a fungicide such as Reliant? Yes. One is a phosphate. The other is a phosphite. Phosphites are not the same as phosphates. Phosphates supply phosphorus. Phosphites act as fungicides and are SAR elicitors in the plant. One's a biostimulant that supplies some potassium. The other is a potassium and phosphorus source. So two totally different deals there.
Two totally different deals. And one more note is that a lot of your inorganic phosphate, like potassium phosphate, are not actually very systemic within the plant. And I need to make note of that because the only phosphate that I know of that is a reliable fungicide against pathogens such as Pythium is the phosphatal al, also known as Aliette or Signature. So that's kind of why I always keep, Signature or Aliette on me at all times, because that is an effective treatment for Pythium.
Yeah, and most of the time I see Reliant used would be mainly in trees. I think is where I most commonly see Reliant as pitched about. And Ray, one more here. I know you got to get going. But the last question here is, I feel like we've already covered this, but they're going to be using Trinexpac Ethyl. This label is Premaxis MEC. But real mode at 1 1/8 of an inch. Any advice for first time using Trinexpac?
Okay. Start at the equivalent of 8 ounces per acre. See how your grass tolerates it and go up from there. And also, because you are mowing at such a high height of cut, do not, look at that frequent interval that is suggested by the growing degree day models, because in fact, what I find with even grass that is mowed at a half an inch or higher even is once I've hit that adequate rate of growth regulation, I literally am able to extend my application intervals to a minimum of 21 to 30 days. In other words, you can easily get into overregulation if, say, you're spraying at 10 to 14 days like the growing degree day models would suggest you to do.
Yep. That's always my opinion. Even just starting the year, start low and work your way up. Don't jump in full bore. Even if it was where you closed running your rate last year, do not close at that same rate. Start low, work your way up. All right, Ray, I want to thank you for your time today, sir. And hopefully we'll see you back next week. Same damn time, same damn place. How's that sound?
All right. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's all we can hope for.
That's right. Watch out for them Karens while you're out there. Thank you, Ray.
Oh, my God.
All right, everybody. You are listening to Turfs Up Radio. That was Pick the Doc's Brain on the only show in America that will bring it down for you like that. Hang on. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got to pay a couple bills. When we come back, we're going to keep on keeping on here. I had a question about X-Drive, one of our fertilizers that is out now, but really won't be talking about a whole lot till winterization. More coming up after the break. You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Every Wednesday night.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is?
Hump Night with The Duck. 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Only on Turfs Up Radio.
Hump day?
We have to put up with this?
The Rock! The hot place!
You're not the top.
Did I say something wrong?
The Duck. On Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in that process? Then it's time you checked out the Geo Ripper 616. It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned Geo Ripper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the Geo Ripper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today. Across the nation, state legislators and regulatory agencies are increasingly mandating the use of pressure-regulated irrigation products to maximize water use efficiency. To meet the stringent new requirements for water conservation, irrigation product manufacturer Hunter Industries offers a full suite of pressure-regulated pro spray bodies. Several states have introduced pressure regulation requirements for irrigation spray bodies offered for sale that comply with the water efficiency and performance criteria of the EPA WaterSense specification for spray sprinkler bodies. To help comply with these mandates, Pro Spray PRS 30 and PRS 40 spray bodies from Hunter Industries have a pressure regulation technology that saves up to 30% more water compared to systems without pressure regulation. Pressure-regulated Pro Spray PRS 30 and PRS 40 spray sprinklers provide a range of benefits, including the same body across all models for easy retrofits, a cold-molded wiper seal for a leak-free operation even with a loose cap, and the optional flow guard feature for additional water saving in the event of a missing nozzle. Hunter Industries provides the most advanced comprehensive water-saving solution in the landscape industry today. I'm Steve Anthony for Turfs Up Radio News.
Hello everyone, this is Abby Lancia with Turfs Up Radio, reporting your national weather forecast. Today is Monday, August 3rd, 2020, and starting out this week, we're going to be seeing lots of active weather all over the country. We're supposed to see Hurricane Isaias hit the coast of Florida over the weekend. Obviously, this storm wasn't too bad for Florida at the end of the day, but the storm has made a turn that now looks like the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic will be taking the brunt of this storm. Hurricane Isaias poses a tornado threat in the Carolinas today, as well as heavy rain that could cause flooding as the storm continues to travel northward. In the Mid-Atlantic, prepare for damaging winds and possible hail west of the coast. As this storm travels, the Mid-Atlantic will see some heavy rain, which could cause flooding in these states as well. There is also a severe weather warning out west in the plains moving into Tuesday. We should be seeing this intense weather near Denver, Colorado, which could affect parts of Wyoming and Nebraska. Besides that, temperatures in the Midwest this week are going to be cooler than usual, making it feel like fall outside. Temperatures will be reading 20 degrees below the national average, so that means highs in the 70s and low 80s. Mornings are going to be very cool in the Midwest. Temperatures could dip all the way down into the 50s and even the 40s in some places. And that is it for today, everyone. This is Abby Lancia with Turfs Up Radio.
Thanks, Abby. How about them apples? That's what I'm talking about. It's starting to sound a little bit more professional around this place, if you ask me. I love it. Absolutely love it. So one of the things we're going to have coming up is, again, one of the things I wanted to talk about is pricing lawn care, right? And so I'm going to bring on a business expert to talk about the ins and outs of pricing lawn care to be profitable. That seems to be a big thing. Leslie asked, did you miss my sulfentrazone question? Yes, I did. I apologize. And I'm sure we can get Ray to comment on that as well. I'm sure he would love to. And then another question here that Rob had: should I avoid phosphorus when planting new seed if my level is already very high? If you're already in the very high to excessive range, then unfortunately you're just kind of in a poor situation there. You can apply it, and you can apply a very little amount of soluble phosphorus to ensure uptake with the seed. You may want to look at applying it as like a liquid starter fertilizer, so you have a little bit more control over your rate. Or just make sure you're applying it less than need be given your nitrogen level. So if you've applied 3 pounds of N and you apply a half pound of P, that's fine. You're still in a deficit. You're still going to lower your levels through the course of the year, if that makes sense. So you want to make sure you apply it in relation to your nitrogen rate, because remember, for every 4 parts of nitrogen you apply, you're pulling from the soil 1 part of phosphorus. Now, the caveat there is that if you're not collecting your clippings, you're not doing a very good job of dropping your phosphorus levels. In order to truly drop your phosphorus levels, 1, stop applying phosphorus, and 2, collect your clippings and discard your clippings. If you recycle your clippings, a lot of times you're recycling the majority of that phosphorus. So just kind of some general rules of thumbs there at play. If it were me and it were my property, I can probably get all the establishment I need just out of manipulating my water alone. So that would be one way to look at it. But if I have no control over the property, and the only thing I'm there to do is just apply seed and get it up and going, then I probably am going to apply it, albeit usually at a reduced rate. And Ross said here, is trifluralin used in turfgrass? It was, hardly anymore. I just don't see a great place for it anymore due to the residual and the spectrum of the, what is the word I'm looking for? Spectrum of the label. If that makes sense. Some people still use it. It's just not often at all. I think the majority of places where you see it are going to be like in beds, places like that. But outside of that, you're not going to get a whole lot of action out of there. The other piece of it is too, it was banned in the EU, which kind of, due to the high toxicity aquatic life thing, that deal there. Then the second piece of it too is, again, another dinitroalanine, another DNA. And when we look at as far as the DNAs, you can get way more performance out of the other DNAs than you can out of trifluralin. So, in my opinion, no real need to do it. Austin Snelling says, select a bent grass control that isn't mesotrione. I have turf type tall fescue and the bent grass hasn't been found underneath the canopy of the tall fescue. How much damage will chloride do to it? Relatively none. It's not going to be a good option for you. You're not going to get a good result out of it. Another option would be another HPPD inhibitor, which would be, Pylex. But again, even Pylex, you're not going to get great control out of your bent grass there. If any control at all, it will just be some temporary extreme whitening that takes place that will allow you to at least identify where it is. Your best control is going to be non-selective control. How about that? Not many people like to hear it, and you can try and play with your different tenacity rates all you want in the world, but the reality of the situation is this: good luck. That's good luck. And I think what you're going to end up finding is you revert back to, you end up reverting back to a non-selective control measure, like, our old favorite, glyphosate, and that's just kind of how it is there. I've never gotten good. Somebody said solarization. Lawn Care Nut mentioned solarization in a recent video. 1,000 square feet of poetrib that I want to kill with as little effort as possible. Yeah, I mean, that may help if you want to bury it under a black tarp. You can certainly try that, but realistically, to eliminate the seed bank in it as well, then you may want to keep that tarp over it for the premise of solarization, for upwards of a year or longer. So while you may burn the top of it off, it's not going to be one of those things that is going to have real systemic action on that. And remember, it's going to survive dormancy. So again, you're probably wanting to extend that, 8 months to a full year of being undercover to get rid of it. So if that for you is the easiest way to go about it, then by all means, you certainly can. In my opinion, that's not the easiest way to go about it. I would rather just glyphosate it out over a couple years and just understand that's just going to be the way that it ends up working. Real quick, I've got to take a break. When we come back,
playing the best
we got one more segment.
Hands down and dirty. Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Turn existing irrigation systems into organic fertilizing, safe pest repelling machines with the Pro Products Green Feeder System. Irrigation contractors are leaving less money on the table and increasing profits with this easy to install, easy to maintain, unlimited recurring revenue opportunity. Call 800-285-9176. 800-285-9176 and mention Turfs Up Radio for an exclusive offer or visit proproducts.com to learn more.
Hey guys.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, lawn and landscape pros. I'm talking to you. Don't let your edge go dull. Your competitive edge. Sharpen your edge at the GIE Plus Expo this October 21st through the 23rd in Louisville, Kentucky.
Understand the word coming out of my mouth?
Innovative products, latest technology. Talk face-to-face with engineers that design your favorite equipment. Then step outside and dive into the hands-on demo area where you can drive, dig, and compare equipment to your heart's delight.
Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong.
This year, the wow gets even bigger with the new UTV test track,
The hands-on drone zone.
and free parking. Register now at GIE-Expo.com, and we'll see you in Louisville, Kentucky this October.
Hey, Turfs Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for Turfs Up Radio. Now you can catch us streaming live 24/7 with pro talk, pro tips, and pro interviews. Simply visit turfsupradio.com.
From the East Coast to the West Coast
missed
and
it.
around the world, no one rocks like Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Project Evergreen supports military families with free lawn, landscape, and snow removal services. To give or get help through green care or snow care for troops, visit projectevergreen.org. Are you a military family with a spouse on
Man, something's going on with this board. I'm going to have to figure it out. Anyway, okay, we came to the risk. So I had a question about the X-Drive product and also kind of parlay this into your question, Jeremy Arnett, about the 1648. So again, this is kind of the unveil of our Xenar technology, right? And if you're interested in learning more about the Xenar technology, you can go to carbonearth.co. And under the science tab, wow, look at that. I can't type. if you go to carbonart.co and the area that says the science, hover your mouse over it, and just underneath it, you'll see Xenar technology. And there's a full write-up over it there where we did our initial testing with it in tomatoes. And basically, it was a way for us to quickly establish what happens when we supply Xenar in combination with NP and K to the plants. And basically what we saw were, for simple explanation, higher bricks content out of the plant. So then when you test that material, right, we do pull tissue samples, we would see, higher levels of NP and K as well as micronutrients in the leaf tissue as compared to just a 16-4-8 or just an NPK fertilizer supplied alongside of it. So combining the Xenar plus fertilizer, higher nutrient levels than just fertilizer alone, and that became the backbone for it. Now, specifically with the 16-4-8 product, what we do is we're blending MAP, UMAX and sulfate of potash, and then for the filler material, we have a certain amount of the bag that is not going to be utilized by fertilizer, so 40% of that bag is still open space, so we fill the remainder of that bag with X soil, so we can still capitalize on the soil building component. We can still capitalize on the root component, which comes from a combination of the Xenar and the X soil, and then we can still capitalize on the nutritional needs of the plant through the NP and K. Now, we do some fun stuff with it because we're also adding in micronutrients through the addition of one of the soil amendments we're using. So kind of a neat way we ended up doing that. I digress. That's more of the manufacturing process. So again, pretty simple, just a 16-4-8 fertilizer with also a soil building component with it as well. So there you go. As far as the X-Drive product, also similar thing. Basically what we're doing there is taking U-Flex and adding in a little bit of sulfate of potash, and then the balance of the bag, we're adding in some X-Soil to fill out the weight. Again, it's a 40-05, so the only time I would really recommend this is if you're trying to get away with a cheap application on Bermuda grass during the summer months. It's certainly a good fit there. Or if you're trying to winterize your cool season grass, it's a good fit there. Again, when it comes to winterization, normally what you're doing is you're filling the gas tank with nitrogen, so that way it will be stable in cooler soil and also available for the next spring. When you start to experience those warm days, you already have a full gas tank there to start cranking out some color. Then if you do that right, what you can do is on your first applications of the year, back down your nitrogen rates and focus on being able to balance out things with your phosphorus and potassium to account for that full belly of nitrogen that you went to sleep with and are now waking up with, so to speak. So again, and also too, what you'll notice is that these products are a bit more affordable than what we would consider our high-end line. And what you're going to see, GIE has kind of been put on hold, and this was kind of our plan for GIE was to separate the two product lines where, we would have like Carbon X and X Green. Those would be considered our premium high-end product lines, X Start, even X Oil, and then we'll have our more budget-conscious product lines that are going to act and perform the same way, but what you'll notice is that they're just inevitably a little bit cheaper, and that would be our Xenar technology products, and those being, like, for instance, K-Stance, which is, again, a 20-0-20, but all that potash is from sulfate of potash, so low salt index potash, so a great product to harden off the plant with. Into spring, also to build potassium levels with, going to be a great product. And it just really is a general all around good use product. K-Stance kind of fits into a lot of different situations, whether for warm season or cool season grass. And of course, we're going to be having some other products that come out in that same vein too, that hope to solve a lot of those issues and fill some of those voids that we currently leave available with our premium product line. We call it a premium product line just because the manufacturing on those more products is more intensive. So anyway, that's why we're doing these products, because they're less manufacturing intensive, and we're able to have a bit more customization, a bit more flexibility without having to produce so much of it in volume to fill certain voids. So that way, even if there's not a giant market for it, chances are we can still produce a product to fill that void. Hope that kind of answers those questions. But if you want to learn more about that, again, carbonearth.co, go to the science, and then you'll see Xenar Technology just underneath there. Let's see. There was a couple other questions that came in here. Let me see. Irrigated customer finally thinned his trees enough for fescue. Wants the POA triv eradicated. Any idea for reducing POA germination after total kill before reseeding? Johnny, fescue, unfortunately, really, probably your best bet is ethofumicate, somewhere in and around there. I would look at the ethofumicate label and see if that fits for what you are doing. I think that may be your best bet in that type of scenario. Let's see. I have a ton of Worm Hills castings in my Fine Fescue Kentucky Bluegrass mix. Any idea for reducing worm population? I'm not a fan of chickens. Unfortunately, no. That's just going to be a natural thing you have to deal with. That's a good sign. So having to eliminate those, unless you're dealing with a golf green type scenario, there's just not really anything you can do about that. You can try and flush them out and move them out of the way, so apply like some baby shampoo or something and try and get them to come to the surface, collect them, and move them out of the way if you want to do that. But other than that, it's going to be pretty difficult to get them to die unless you try and salt them out, which in my opinion is just a little bit of a redneck thing to do. And when I say salt it out, I'm not talking about using sodium salt. I'm talking about using by applying a way incredible amount of fertilizer to try and dehydrate them to death, which to me, just leave them alone. They'll go away. So Paul says, I'm worried about adding Trinexpec ethyl to common Bermuda turfgrass. Mowing at 1-1/8. Not exactly sure I will put down 8 ounces per acre that Ray suggested. You can start at 8 ounces, maybe start at 6, and then work your way up if that's what your concern is. I promise you, once you try it, you'll learn your way around it pretty quickly. In a worst case scenario, you over apply, then just let it alone, and it'll grow out in roughly 3 to 4 weeks, sometime around there. And then will Xenar come to Carbonex and the other premiums? No, it will not. We actually infuse peptide material into the homogenized material we put into that, so there's no need for us to coat it on the outside as well. So basically, the Xenar technology is a combination of the peptides. We use a wetting agent and also a couple of different minors in there to elicit that response. So no, we will not add that to the premium line because there's, like I said, there's no real need to it. Does K-Stance have peptides? Yes. Again, it does through the Xenar technology. All right, everybody, that has brought me to the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I had a good time. I'm gonna go back here. Big thank you for Ray for taking time out of his day to come hang out with us and allowing us to pick the Doc's brain. Like I said, we're going to have some interviews coming up with Wayne of Profits Unlimited. We're going to be diving deep into how to price lawn care. That's probably going to be on Wednesday when that comes out. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you're interested in that kind of conversation, Wednesday, diving deep, hard into the numbers game. Even if you know how to price lawn care, it's one of the things that should be revisited often to make sure you're taking into account everything that should be taken into account. I want to thank you all. Wait a second. Hang on. What is today? Stop the music. stop the music. I've got something that needs to take place right now. I promise. Boy, I struggle sometimes. It ain't every day, but it's almost every day. It is 99.99% of the time I struggle. And I'm telling you, one day before I die, I will grow up. Because it is time right now to put you on with the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Eric, the turf teacher, Jones.
And thank you, Mr. Matt, the Grass Factor Martin. What a hell of a show, dude. I was driving back from Charlotte, listened to you the whole way.
I'm sorry.
No, man, no. And I looked down, I was like, shit, it's 4 o'clock. I was like, dude, the day went by so fast. Like, how in the world did it go by this quick? And I'm like, it's time for Matt. Turn it on. Turn it on, man. Lord have mercy. That's some good stuff, man.
Well, thank you.
I like it. And then now I've got to like really step up my game to keep up with what you do.
No, you don't have to.
Make it hard, man.
Listen. This was it was just it was one of those days where you got a lot pent up over the weekend and you just got to word vomit it all out.
Yours isn't vomit; it's coming out like poetry.
How was Charlotte though?
I mean, dude, it was a drive down. I actually, I'm adding a classification to my general contractor's license, and I had to go down there and pick up some study manuals. So I am actually adding public utilities, water and sewer, to my license. That way we can do our own connections, and it allows us to do our own backflow for our irrigation system. I'm tired of hiring a plumber to do that. So one of those things, man.
Also, for those of you that are listening, one of the great things that turf teacher is going to be doing, handgun concealed carry permits, baby.
That's right, man. That's right. I love doing that. I love teaching that, man. That is fun. So it's a long class though, man. It's 8 hours of classroom and then 2 hours range time. Legally, that's what it's supposed to be. And 2 of those 8 hours are supposed to be on licensing or the laws of carrying a concealed weapon. But a lot of times, man, the people that come to get their concealed carry have never fired a firearm in their entire life. And I'm like, you can't come to concealed carry class unless you kind of know what you're doing. You get these little old ladies that pull out a loaded 357 that's like huge, and they pull it out. And I'm like, no. What did we tell you at the door? All live ammunition stays in the car. Nothing live ammunition, no live ammunition in the classroom. And you got to double check everything, man. Well, my dad brought this back from World War I, and I just thought I could use it. No.
They got a black powder cap gun for their personal carry.
Dude, I swear, some of the firearms that people actually want to carry, I'm like, why? How? Really? you wear that baggy of a pants to stick that thing down there? I mean, because it's not going to happen. You know, concealed carry is, something for immediate protection. I love the M&P shield. So
did I tell you I got I bought a 10 millimeter?
No, but that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a Springfield Armory XDM OSP. I'll send you some pictures off air.
You better, man. You better.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I tell you, the only reason I got it was because I wanted to shoot a 10 millimeter, and I have to say it is above and beyond a hand cannon and a half. Just an unbelievable amount of recoil comes out of this firearm, and it makes it incredibly difficult to shoot. In fact, it's so difficult to shoot that I'm going to put a red dot on it because I can't keep a grouping tighter than 12 inches. I struggle so much shooting this that I anticipate the recoil. And it throws off my grouping every time. And it doesn't matter whether I'm at 5 yards or I'm at 10 yards. I can barely hit paper. In fact, I got a buddy of mine in Nashville who's a police officer, Officer Elms. How are you, good sir? Who's gonna help me with it because I struggle so much. And listen, I'm a big man. I'm 6'4", 260 pounds. I can palm a basketball with either hand. I mean, I've got no problem handling the recoil of a firearm. That round, that's a tricky round right there.
Yeah.
It's got a little oomph to it. I normally shoot 45, right? So, I've got a Glock 41, I got a 1911, all that, and no problem there. Shoots great. But boy, that 10 millimeters, a little something extra.
Well,
it'll make a man out of you.
Love it, man. Love it.
All right, Eric, I'm going to leave you alone. You have a great day today, sir.
Hey, brother.
All right.
Catch you later.
I'm turning you on the cell phone.
All right.
See you,
buddy. See you.
Let me see. I think I'm still on here. Somebody was asking if I should. Hey, are people still watching this? No, they're not. But basically, I will see if I can't put together a comparison table of the different carbon products. I can do that, Ross. But the reality of the situation is this: the easiest thing to do is put together a model of what your weather is and what your nutrient demand is going to be. Because all that is going to be a variable information, and then plug your products into what your nutrient requirements are based on the time of year, right? That may sound more complicated than it is, but I promise things like the growth probability model on Pace Turf can go a really long way in helping you solve these problems. So I highly recommend go to paceturf.org. Look at all the research Larry's done there. The growth probability model is something great. A big shout out to Ryan DeMay for introducing that to me. And, it's just, it's a good thing. Okay. So I have, I've got to go. I've got to get back to my job, and, I've got to go, take care of my kids and, Go catch a whooping from my wife. I owe her some time. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good one.